Hello everyone, this is your Woman Today YouTube channel. So in this channel, we are just interviewing many women entrepreneurs and working women across India and across the world. So today, our guest is Abhya Sharma ma'am. So she is an existential uh, humanistic therapist and also a clinical psychologist. So I welcome you, Abhya Sharma ma'am, to this Woman Today YouTube channel. So good evening, ma'am. Hi, how are you?
Hi Krishna, I am good. Thank you so much for having me on your channel. And you don't have to call me man, you can just call me Abhya.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
completely fine.
Yeah, okay, Abhya. So tell me about yourself, Abhya, because as a clinical psychologist, so what made you decide this profession? So you must have witnessed a lot of professions in this world. So at what point of your time did you decide that you wanted to enter this psychologist industry now?
Right. So I think I've grown up in an environment where there's always been a lot of curiosity about people and humans and noticing why people behave the way that they do. Because those are the kind of discussions we've had at home as well when I was growing up. So I guess that is what made me inherently curious about people and wanting to understand them. And then when I reached my 11th and 12th standard, I realized, oh, there's proper subject called psychology that actually talks about a lot of this, about why we behave the way that we do and how different people have tried to give different theories um, of just behavior and how that behavior impacts other aspects of our life, how that behavior also ends up becoming into an illness or a disease at times, and how to deal with that. So I think those things always kept me interested in the subject, and that's how I started studying it. And I, I've, I think ever since then, I've not looked back. Because I've just enjoyed reading more and knowing more about this. And the more you know about psychology, the more you realize how it's always around you. So I think it also keeps me connected a lot with what's happening around.
So being a psychologist, so is it like people with trauma should actually come and consult you, or is it like even a normal people, if they want to know about a person's psychology, they can come and consult you to have a look like, ma'am, tell me about my perspective of thinking in this society. So is it okay that I'm normal, or should I have any kind of upgradations in myself to be a successful person in one's life? So tell us about normal people visiting you and upgrading themselves in their psychological behavior, and also at the same time some kind of persons with depressions and trauma, they will be coming and taking consultations from you. So what will you tell to both of them, to these kind of separate categories? One is a normal man who is trying to upgrade himself, and the other one is some kind of persons who need some kind of support in order to overcome their fears, traumas, and who wants to be successful in one's life, man.
Right, right. So I think the more I study psychology, the more the word normal loses its meaning because we tend to think that we are normal and somebody else is abnormal. But I think the more you study, you realize there's a very thin line between normal and abnormal, and all of us have certain things that we're all struggling with or dealing with. And you're very right on bringing this question that sometimes we might not have an issue or have a problem, but we still want to do better in our lives or upgrade ourselves. And I think that is also a perfectly valid reason for coming into therapy. In fact, a lot of times when you initially come for therapy and you have a problem at hand, when that problem resolves itself through the course of therapy, people do continue being in therapy because now they want to get achieve more or maybe upgrade, like you use the word upgrade themselves, or work according to their potential. So definitely therapy can be for somebody who has had a traumatic experience, who's going through a, a diagnosed mental illness like depression or anxiety. And it's also for other people who might not have that diagnosis, but they could be struggling with something, but they're not sure what that is. And even for people who are not entirely having a problem, but they just want to make their lives even better than what they are at the moment. So, yeah.
So tell us the entire process, ma'am. Like if a person comes and meets you, and if they wants to, as I told you, they want to upgrade themselves in the society. So what are the process that they will undergo? and how many days it will take to in order to upgrade themselves. Like it will take a day or a week or a month or years. So depending upon the type of the person, you will just assess them. I know it, but the thing is that people actually do not know what is the procedure, what will happen when you come and meet a therapist or a psychologist. And do you recommend any kind of medicines for them in the way of tablets or in the way of any kind of tonics, or is it like a simple natural talk with them which will make them okay, I have actually came out of the trauma which I'm facing today? So what are the procedures exactly from the starting to the end, ma'am? So can you please explain it, ma'am?
Sure. So you've asked me a bunch of questions there. One is around what is the duration, the other is what is the process, the third is whether or not there's medication involved, or do I just talk to people and that's how it's done. So I'll try to answer each of these one by one. I'll start with the process and maybe that'll answer a lot of the other questions as well. So the process is, if say you find me somewhere, you find me through Instagram or you find me through LinkedIn or through a referral, you might drop me a message that, hey, I think I want to speak to a therapist. Now that why you're looking for a therapist could have its own reasons. Maybe you are having a relationship concern, or maybe you're dealing with stress, or maybe you have a diagnosed mental illness, or you just want to maybe talk about your life. You're not entirely sure if there's something wrong, but you still want to explore more. So you would reach out to me, and then we would uh, schedule a consultation call where we just try to get to know each other a little bit, where I can tell you about myself, about my approach, and if you have any questions, you can let me know what those are and give me a brief idea what your concerns are. And once that's done, a session will be scheduled at a time that's good for you as well as me. And it could be online or offline. I practice in Delhi, so I do take up offline sessions as well. But essentially, during that session, which will be a 1 hour session, which will happen every week or every other week, depending on what we need, we'll essentially be talking. You would basically be talking and bringing in whatever's on your mind. My role would be to guide the conversation in a way that we can go deeper and deeper into what's happening within you. Because a lot of times in day-to-day conversations, we talk about a lot of things, but we don't really talk about what's important. And I think therapy is where we try to focus on what's relevant to you. It's less about me hearing what you're saying, and it's more about you hearing yourself, your own thoughts, and gaining more awareness and clarity about what's happening within you. Now, it could be maybe you've come in because you want to grow in your life, and that's your concern. And so when you come in and you talk about it, you might also gain clarity on things like why is it that you're not able to grow the way that you want to? And do you even want to grow in the direction that you think you want to, or is it coming from somebody else's pressure and all of that? So that is essentially how therapy goes. As for the duration, there's no fixed number of hours that I can tell you that, okay, these are the number of hours that will completely help you, or help you find solutions to your problems. For some people, it could be as less as a conversation, and they're like, okay, you know what, I think I have clarity on what I want. And some people, they like to uh, continue with therapy for months or even years. And I don't think there will ever be a point where you entirely have clarity over yourself, or know everything that there is to know about you, or at any point where there'll be no problems. But as long as you know you are at a stage where whatever problems you are being faced with, you can deal with them, I think that is a good point where you can consider discontinuing therapy, or when you can feel like maybe now I don't need as many regular sessions as I used to. So I think that would be the duration bit, answers the duration part of your question. And thirdly, you asked me about medication. So I am a psychologist, I'm a clinical psychologist. So while I can diagnose and assess you for your illness, I cannot prescribe medication. That is something that an MBBS doctor, a psychiatrist, can do for you. So my work is majorly with words and with talking. But having said that, there are of course different techniques that can be included in a session, using different modalities. So, for example, breath work would be one thing, some relaxation exercises, some somatic activities, art therapy based activities. So, there are a lot of other ways that can help me to help you explore yourself. But medication is not one of those things, and that is something that a psychiatrist can help a person with.
Yeah, that's a great answer from you, ma'am. On the other hand, I wanted to ask any kind of, can you explain us any kind of real life experience like a client came to you and they have expressed their concern about their mental health, and have you, what are the things that you face in dealing with them? And tell us any kind of real life incident in which a person who came with some kind of issues, and once after making a consultation and making a continue therapeutic process with you, they have become normal. So can you explain any kind of real life experience, ma'am?
Yeah, see, again, you use the word normal, but they were always normal. They were never not normal. Um, yeah, there have been many people who have come in. I think in these conversations, I'm also a little careful about divulging any information about my clients or talking about my sessions because it's a very confidential uh, process that takes place, and I wouldn't want anybody to feel like they're they've been talked about on a public platform, but without giving too much information about somebody. There, of course, have been situations where people have come in with a specific issue that they were dealing with. Relationship concerns have been there that have been dealt with, or somebody who's just feeling very anxious about their lives and where it's going and all of that. And through the course of therapy, they've found a sense of stability and a sense of groundedness, where even though the problems are the same, they've just been able to find better ways of dealing with that problem. That strength that was always there, they've just been able to recognize it and just deal with their environment in a better manner. So, yes, there have been those instances, and I've been fortunate enough to witness them in my practice.
Yeah, what are the actual common things that people can come and consult with you? Like, consider around, you may have consulted more than, I think, 50 people or 100 people. May I know how many people you have actually made a consultation over your experience, ma'am?
Right. I don't know the number of people, but I can say that I've given about upwards of 1200 hours of therapy so far. I can say that. So, yeah, I have been, I have seen quite a lot of people through this process. Um, I think the major concerns that people come with nowadays are anxiety related, anxiety around work, anxiety around health, anxiety around life in general. There's that. There's depression, where there's just this sense of sadness that they carry. Um, Around COVID, there was a lot of grief as well because people had lost a lot of their loved ones to the pandemic. Um, so quite a few grief cases had also come up. People also come in who are grappling with issues in their marriage or their romantic relationships, which are causing them some kind of distress, or people who are just facing some challenges because some changes occurred in their life. So maybe you've started a new job, or you've lost a job, or you've just gotten married and you're getting used to your new house and the new environment. So these kind of concerns come in. I've also, over the last year, I was training within a hospital. So I've also had the chance to witness maybe a little more clinical cases, like somebody with borderline personality disorder, or somebody with addiction issues, or somebody with schizophrenia. So these kind of cases also I've dealt with. But generally, these people come in through a clinic or come in through a hospital and not just through private practice.
So is it like
So,
you have
yeah.
mentioned a lot of some kind of unavoidable and unwanted kind of situations, like consider if a person is like in a split personality, like more than two characters, like we have witnessed a lot of these things in movies, like a person will be behave normally, and I'm not telling it's like normally a person will be like in a complete happy state, and within 10 to 15 minutes they'll be like a totally different person. They'll be in a different mode. Like the first 15 minutes they'll be normal, they'll be behaving normal, completely happy, and the next 15 minutes they'll be completely opposite. Like they'll not be in a very normal state. They'll be very excited, or they'll be very angry, or they'll be very sad. So at the same time, they will not be knowing these kind of things. They do happen. Consider if a person is already drunk, like for around more than 2 to 3 hours, they don't know actually what's happening. So the next day when we call and tell them you did these kind of things when you're totally drunk, they'll be like, is it me who did all these kind of things? I can't remember any kind of things. So what happens exactly in these kind of situations, like when a person is drunk or when they're actually exhibiting this kind of multiple personality disorders? So what actually is the remedy to all these kind of situations, and what actually ignites these kind of stages to enter into a situation where they themselves do not know what's happening around in them and also around other surroundings, ma'am?
Right. So, what alcohol does and what happens in a split personality, which is actually called a dissociative identity disorder, are two different mechanisms. When you consume alcohol or any other kind of substance beyond a certain level, um, it kind of blocks that part of your brain that creates memories, and that can help you to retrieve those memories. So that's why your prefrontal cortex also kind of goes for a toss, or doesn't work when you get drunk beyond a point. That's why we make certain decisions that we feel like we would not do if we were not drunk. Like people text their exes, and then the next day they're like, oh, why did I do this? Because if I was conscious, if I was aware of what I was doing, I would not do it. So alcohol suppresses those parts, those specific parts of your brain that are supposed to help you make those better decisions or make those better judgments. And similarly, it does so with centers of memory as well. And that's why we tend to forget or have these blackouts when we get drunk. Now, if we come to dissociative identity disorders, so again, there are different theories around that. But the one theory that I think has made the most sense to me is coming from a more Freudian angle, which is when you're when you have undergone trauma beyond a certain level, your brain creates a different personality for you, because otherwise it won't be able to deal with what is happening in the current moment, because it's getting so unbearable for it to deal with it. That's why I think even when you watch movies where there's some kind of dissociative identity disorder, you know that there's a story where this person had gone through immense pain or immense trauma, because of which they had to create a different personality for themselves. I think there's also a case where a person had more than 70 personalities within themselves, and they'd gone through a lot of
In India?
sexual abuse.
In India, are you talking?
Not, it was, no, this wasn't India. I might be getting the number wrong, but it was definitely in the double digits somewhere in America, I think. And I saw this on a talk show online. So even that person was saying that they endured a lot of abuse, and I think it was sexual abuse at the hands of their stepfather, if I'm not wrong. And so, in order to deal with the pain of that particular situation, their brain created a different personality which didn't have those problems, or which wasn't going through those concerns. And they don't even remember that, oh, they have this personality. They just do that, and then uh, there's no memory of that particular persona or that particular personality as well. And I think it's all the brain's way of protecting itself against too much pain. And I think at all times our brain is just trying to help us survive or cope with things, and that's how these things also come into existence.
On the other hand, people like suffering these kind of situations, they do have a lot of anxiety attack in them. Like speaking about a job, so they'll be having some kind of anxiety. Speaking about a relationship, they'll be having some kind of anxiety. Speaking about grief, losing someone which they can't recover in their life, they'll be having some kind of anxiety attack. So consider, for example, if a person is suffering some kind of anxiety attack in a kind of relationship, when one partner has to speak with the other partner, what common kind of mistakes happen in this kind of modern life is that the one of the two partners will not be explaining what actually impacted them and what actually blocked them. What it will be like, they'll be very good friends, they'll be like having a good partners in their life for more than around 2 years. So after 3 years they'll be like fighting. I mean, they're actually, if both are fighting, then they'll be having, okay, we have this kind of information, so this is the point which made us fight between them. But the thing is that one of the partners will not be actually telling what took them to make a decision that they do not want the other partner. They will be simply ignoring them, they will be simply avoiding them. The thing is that the other partner do not know actually what had actually happened. So it will be like, okay, they have actually ignored us. That's the part which they will be knowing, but they will not be knowing what actually made them take the decision to ignore them. So at this point they will be in a completely anxiety attack. They will be going and asking the partner like, tell us why did you ignore us, and tell us what made you the decision, and if I'm wrong, so please tell me, I can correct myself. They'll be going to a situation like, okay, if there is any kind of wrong in me, then I am okay with correcting myself. But the thing is that the opposite partner who had actually made his or her mind to not to talk to them, to ignore them completely, and to vanish them in their life, they'll be like, they not take any kind of feelings inside them, and they'll be totally ignoring them. So at this point of situations, the other partner will be completely, they'll be in an completely in 100% anxiety attack. They'll be not knowing what to do anything. So they'll be trying again, as you told, in these kind of fighting relationships, they'll be again and going asking the partner what kind of mistakes they have done, then they'll be completely ignoring them. So this loop keeps on continuing. So at one point of time, they can't sleep, they can't eat, they'll be going through depressions, they'll be going through a lot of trauma, like what mistake I have done that they are not even able to express it to me, and I'm in a totally dilemma in my life. I do not know what to do with my life. I'm totally depressed, I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't go to work. So at this point of situations, what actually will you tell to the person who is suffering these kind of traumas, to in order to overcome themselves, uplift themselves, and to come out of the trauma and lead a very successful life now?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a very relevant question because we see this happening a lot in our, not just in therapy, but in our day-to-day lives as well, where we see a couple where one person is very avoidant and one person is very anxious the moment they uh, start avoiding them. Um, so if, say, I'm speaking to somebody who is on the anxious side of this situation, who has a partner who shuts down the moment there's a problem and they don't communicate, I think I would have them reflect on whether or not they have created a safe environment for the other person to talk. Or is it that the moment the other person opens up, there's a fight, or you tend to kind of make the other person feel bad about sharing what they want to share. So maybe that's a possibility why the other person has started staying silent. But many times that's not the case because the other partner has maybe a personality type or a trait where they tend to shut down no matter what happens. The moment a conflict comes up, they completely shut down. So I think in that case, um, I would try and understand from this person who tends to get anxious, why is it that they get so anxious? Is it because they are taking the avoidance personally that, oh, if this person is avoiding me, that means I have done something wrong, or that means they are maybe about to leave me, etc., etc. Because maybe it has nothing to do with you, your partner shutting down. That's just how they deal with the conflict. And so, first of all, we need to kind of let go of that idea that I am doing something wrong because of which this person is leaving me. So when you try to when you're able to kind of deal with that anxiety, I think your ability to be there for that person also increases. So then you're able to maybe give them more space as well, when they can then come back to you and speak to you whenever they feel fine. But these can be very tricky things because it requires a lot of communication. So if I don't like that my partner shuts down, so I need to let them know that this is not okay with me. The other person also needs to be receptive towards hearing this and doing something about it or changing the situation. And that's how it can help with the relationship. But if I'm just working with that one person, I think my first thing would be to help them reflect on where the anxiety is coming from, and on doing away with the idea that it's them that's in the wrong, or something like that. And I think once you can deal with your anxiety, it also helps you to figure out what are better ways of dealing with the particular problem that you're faced with.
Like as you said very clearly that the other partner had actually shut down their mind and they had made a decision that no matter what happens, no matter how they convince us, we are not going to go and join in the relationship. They'll be like, okay, I have made up my mind and this is my final decision. As you again told, the simple thing is communication. So once they communicate that this is the problem or this is the thing which made us separate, so it will be, I think the other partner will get a solution and it will be the remedy for the anxiety attack. But in most of the cases, the first partner will not be telling the second partner what is the exact reason. So without communication, the anxiety attack still continues. Okay, then on the
Yeah.
other hand, as you told, the second partner, first they are having this anxiety. The only problem with the anxiety is they think themselves that they made the wrong thing which made them not to talk to them. But the thing is that they do not have any kind of things which they do bad in their life. They are actually correct. They are actually genuine and honest and innocent persons. Like if they're able to tell the partner that, okay, if I'm doing anything kind of wrong, so I'll be able to upgrade myself. I will try to avoid these kind of mistakes again in my life, and I'll again try to be a better person in your life. So at this point of life, the other second partner has clearly communicated that they're totally normal in coming back and joining in the relationship. But because on the first hand, they actually didn't break the relationship. They actually wanted to know what is the reason that the first partner did not have a proper communication with them. So at this point, the second partner is completely okay with everything and he's a genuine, honest, and innocent person. But the thing is that without proper communication, the first partner, in order to make some kind of, they do not want to express their opinions. They don't want to communicate. They simply want to just throw them out of their life. So that's kind of toxic behavior. So the thing is that they can clearly express, as you told, that they can clearly communicate with them. Okay, this is the process, and I have made up my mind that you are not traveling in my frequency. That's not your type of relationship is not matching my kind of wavelength. They can simply tell the second person. But the thing is that they are not able to communicate it because that's their character, which you told. So it totally that's their character which made them take the decision. So at this point of time, the second partner, if they want to overcome the anxiety, so what will you tell the second partner? Will you just advise them that the first partner, even though you came down this much, that you are very genuine in a relationship, you are very innocent, you are just open to a relationship, but the first partner now also they are not accepting that you are actually in a genuine relationship, and the first partner is something like they actually do not know that they are toxically behaving. They'll be like, they are thinking they will be normal. But the thing is that without proper communication, not only in the relationship but also in the work, in any kind of industries, without proper communication, like take any kind of job. If an aircraft wants to land, so they have to talk to the air traffic controller. So the air traffic controller has to guide the plane and safely land the plane. Once the communication is all perfectly done, then it's totally okay. The aircraft will come and land in the runway. But if the communication, the frequency, the wavelength between the ATC, that is the air traffic controller, and between the pilot is not correct, then the total landing process will collapse. So in the same way, in a relationship, when the first person is not genuinely opening up with the second person, then the relationship will totally collapse. And in some cases, it will be like the person will be portraying them in a very wrong kind of perspective, that they they both themselves will be landing up in very some kind of not good situations. So we are just discussing about a relationship kind of fight where the first partner is not communicating what exactly is the wrong which is done by the second partner, and which led to a situation in which the second partner is in a completely anxiety attack, that he or she doesn't know what had happened, what mistake they did in their life, and they take the accountability that they are responsible for the mistake, that the other partner is avoiding them, and they're in a totally dilemma situation, don't know what to do in their life, and they're like in a totally anxiety attack. So at these situations, what will you tell to the first partner, and also what will you guide the second partner? So the first partner doesn't is she or he is not willing to communicate the second partner's mistake, and the second partner is ready to just upgrade himself, correcting the mistakes which she or he has done, but without proper communication from the first partner, they're completely devastated, completely in a depressed mode, kind of anxiety attack. So they're coming to have some kind of treatment from you. So at this point of time, what will you tell both the partners in order to make the relationship work, and in order to make a very smooth and very happy life?
Right. So I think if a couple like this has come in for therapy with me, my job would be to help both of them see how are their actions affecting the other person. So for example, the partner who's avoidant or who's not talking, I would have them hear the other partner's side, and where they say that, okay, when you don't talk to me, I feel like I've done something wrong, or I feel like you're going to leave me. And similarly, I'll give a chance to the partner who avoids to express what they go through when they shut themselves down, so that both of them get to see it from the other person's perspective as well. Because when one person shuts down, maybe they have a certain view of what the other person is doing. Maybe they feel, oh God, why is this person after my life? Why can't they just give me some space? Whereas the other partner might think, when you take space, it makes me feel like you're about to leave me. So I think it's important for both of them to be in a safe space where they can both express themselves freely. And I think once they see how their actions are affecting the partner and the relationship in general, I think it's easy to also figure out what is the right way to go about it. So I think some ways of dealing with this problem could be how the person who's avoiding conversation can maybe communicate more or communicate better or communicate at the right time, and the partner who gets so anxious, they could just learn to give the other person some space, so that when they are ready to tell the other person that this is what is bothering me, they can express themselves. And I'm sure both of them have their reasons for why this makes them anxious or why the other person is avoiding. And they could be maybe because of their life experiences, because of their upbringing, because of their previous relationships in their
Exactly.
life. And so I would like to bring that up in the session, in the space, so that uh, there's more openness, there's more opportunity for understanding each other, and essentially working towards making the relationship better. It's not about one person being right or the other person being wrong or any of that. It's about what is good for the relationship, because at the end of the day, that is what we want to work towards,
Yeah,
the relationship being healthy.
as you told, it's like based upon the past relationship, like the first partner, because of the previous relationship, they will be setting their mindset like, okay, this kind of people behave like this only. So this will make them shut down the upcoming persons who are coming in their life. They will be taking decisions based upon the previous relationship which
Right.
they had been actually in. So this is the actual thing which made the first partner break up completely with the second partner without communicating what's actually the mistake that they have done. So they'll be assuming that, okay, we had a past trauma in our life, and because of this, so the second person, which is actually a new person, they will be having any kind of idea in their life, but since I told the second partner will be like a genuine and innocent, a good partner, but because of the past relationship, because of the past trauma, the first person will not be having any kind of trust with the upcoming persons. So not only in a relationship, you take any kind of business. If you take a business, and if a business partner who is very believed to be trustworthy, and if at one point of time they're breaking the trust, and if they're leaving them in a totally dilemma and pakka trauma, then they will be not trusting any other people in their life. So they will be like complete dilemma, and they'll be like, okay, upcoming they whatever persons upcoming in their life, they'll be like, okay, he or she, they will also commit this same kind of mistakes. There are chances more. So in the same way, in a relationship, because of the past traumas of the first person, they are just considering that the upcoming partners will also do the same mistake, and because of the trust which is broken by the previous relationship, they are not able to build a proper trust with the second person who is actually coming in. So I think the trust is the basic process which happens in everybody's life. Because of the trust which is broken by the first person, so they're just avoiding the second person, and because of the trauma which the first person creates the second person, so the second person will keep on that the loop keeps on going. So at the end of the
Right.
at the end of the day, most of the people, they'll be in a chain link, that okay, because of the first person, it's like a set of cards. If we disturb one card, then the whole card will be collapsed. So like the way the whole card is collapsed. So at this point of time, uh, what should one do? Like, if the first partner is not talking and the second partner is in a completely anxiety attack, that if they are not talking to us, then I don't know what to do in my life, and my life is shut down right now. So in a situation, consider the first partner is not willing to communicate. So the second partner is totally in a dark mode, and they are coming to you specifically. Now the first partner is not there in the session. Only the second partner, who's the affected partner without any kind of proper communication, who's a genuine and innocent person, if they comes and talks to you, telling that they, so in the middle of the conversation, you are like, okay, the second person should actually give the space to the first person. Consider they have undergone the kind of advices which is given by you. Like, you are advising the person that the second person should give the first person in order to let them speak the heart out, telling what mistake that the second person had done. But the thing is that the second person consider a situation in which he or she waited for more than 1 year, 2 years, or like even 10 years. So even after waiting for 10 years, giving them enough space that they are not disturbing every day in their life, they are not disturbing even in 1 year. And consider after 10 years, if they are coming back to their first partner, and if they are trying to ask what is the mistake they have done, then the first partner, as usual, as they remained before 10 years, they'll be in the same mode. They'll not be revealing anything. So at this point of time, the second partner is in a completely different dilemma. They'll be in a different anxiety attack. So at this point of time, so they had made up my life. They had made up the decision that okay, so we have waited for 10 years, and the first partner is not telling what wrong they have they done. So at this point of time, so the second partner is coming to you as a client, and if they're asking any kind of suggestions, what should they do for their anxiety attack? Because their anxiety attack is created because the first partner is not communicating in the second partner. What's the mistake? So that's the basic thing. So as you told that, that's the character of the first person, but the second partner is very well aware of the character of the first partner, but they're not able to come out of the anxiety attack. They're just telling like a school kid that okay, we have to talk again and again and again. They are just trying to talk to them, but the first partner is completely avoiding them. What will you do in order to make the anxiety attack go away from the second partner in one's life now?
Hmm. So I think my first question would be to understand why they are in the relationship in the first place. If we consider your example, for 10 years, the person has not spoken and all of that. And I think that's not even giving space. That's just kind of not addressing the problem at all. So for 10 years, if there's no communication, and even after 10 years, when you try to communicate, your partner is not responding to you. So I think my question would be, if this is causing you so much pain and this is causing you so much anxiety, then what is it that's keeping you within that relationship? Now we somebody could have a strong reason that yes, okay, maybe he's not talking to me, but then these are the things that I get out of the relationship, or she's not communicating, but these are the things that are keeping me in a relationship. Maybe you guys are married and you have kids, and so that's why you're in the marriage, or because there are other things that this person brings into your life that are keeping the relationship going. So that would be one question that I would ask, because many times people don't even ask themselves why are they with somebody. They think that there is no other choice, where they could maybe get out of that relationship if it's actually causing them so much pain, because a relationship is not supposed to make you feel so terrible. A relationship is supposed to enhance your life, it's supposed to enrich your life. So that would be my first question. And secondly, if the person says that no, there are reasons why I want to stay in this relationship and it works for me, then I think my focus would be on building something which this person also has in their own life. Because right now it seems like there's a lot of dependency on the other person, in the sense that, oh, if he is not talking to me, or if she's not talking to me, I don't know how to function, I don't know how to go about my day, or I don't know how to live my life, because I'm constantly just thinking about how he or she is not talking to me, or how I have made a mistake, which means you are not focusing on your life as well. You're not focusing on what you want out of your life, or what your goals are, or what are the things that you value. And so I think my goal would be to try and bring up these questions, try and explore what this person values in their life, what are their aspirations, what are the things that they can work towards, so that they also have a foundation in their own life and in their own self, and they're not entirely dependent on the reactions and on the behavior of this partner. So if he's behaving well with me, I'm happy. If he's not behaving well with me, everything kind of breaks down. So I think those would be my 2 points of focus if somebody like this comes to me in therapy.
The first point you told that not to consider the first person. So even after 10 years, they'll be the second person is genuine, but the first person is continuing the same kind of behavior. At this point, you're advising the second person to focus on a very different person, to move on to a different person, so that, as you told, that no one human is actually existing in this world. There are a lot of humans over there to make a relationship with, to communicate with,
No,
to
actually, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you need to move on to a different person. It's just, do you want to be with this person or get out of the relationship? It doesn't mean you need to look for somebody else, because then I think that would just continue the problem. If you're going from one dependency to another dependency, you will just become dependent on another person. And chances are that if you are so anxious, you might just fall for somebody who is so avoidant also, because this is also a pattern that's generally seen. So I would not say that this is not the only person. Look for somebody else. I would say, why are you looking for somebody at all? What is it that this person is bringing for you? What is it that missing within yourself that you need somebody to complete you? As opposed to being a complete person within yourself and still wanting companionship, because these are two very different things. When you need somebody and when you want somebody. So I think that is where my work would be, not to suggest that you look for somebody else. And generally, I don't suggest at all. And that's what therapists do. They don't suggest, they don't give you solutions to your problems. They try and help you find your solutions to whatever it is that you're struggling with. So, yeah, that was one correction I wanted to bring
Okay.
in.
On the other hand, as you told, we can just focus on ourselves. We can just focus on the things where we are valued at, so that we'll be able to continue our life. We can able to upgrade our life. That's a kind of great answer. So, on the other hand, via this interview, if you have any kind of message which you wanted to tell to the world, what kind of message do you like to pass to the people who are watching this interview right now, ma'am?
Mm, I think I'd just like to say that we spend a lot of our times looking outside to the external world for fixing our problems, for finding our solutions. But I would just say that all of our answers are within ourselves. And I think any space, be it therapy, be it getting involved in a certain activity that brings you closer to yourself and closer to who you are, I think one should get into that more and more. So essentially, that we're all empowered to do the things that we want to do and we want to achieve. It's just we need to recognize it a little bit more. And nothing from the outside world can help us do that unless and until we make that decision to do it within ourselves. So, yeah, I think that's a reminder for me as well. I know I'm saying this, but I tend to forget that myself. But yes, I think all our answers are within us, and we just need to give ourselves the space to find those answers.
That's a great answer, ma'am. So tell me, ma'am, being a psychologist in a daily life, you must have seen a lot of people with different traumas, and you're dealing with a lot of people with different kind of issues in their life. So in what way does this kind of dealing with people with different mindsets have actually affected your daily life? Or it is like, okay, it is it has not affected me in any way in your daily life, and you're completely like it's just a total work profession that you're dealing with, and you're not having any kind of issues with it. So tell us real life work experience, like how do you actually handle the mindset with the other people? So does it influence you? Does the trauma of the other person whom you are consulting, does it actually influence you? Or if it had influenced you, like consider we are watching a movie with a very sad scene, surely we would also react to the same sad situation. We'll be having tears in our eyes because we are just watching it a movie, even though we are watching a movie with a sad situation, and our brain is totally not affected by it. It is clearly known that we are watching a movie, but we are totally affected by it. So on the same way, you are just dealing with different people with different mindsets, with different traumas, with different issues. So how do you actually recover yourself if that situation had influenced in your life now?
Hmm. So yeah, I think it does affect you when you work with people and when people bring in such intimate parts of their life in front of you, and some of them are very sad, some of them are very happy as well. So it's you do feel with the client. I mean, I do feel things that my clients feel. Maybe they've gone through terrible things in their childhood. So I do feel angry as to why was a child put through something like this, or I do feel sad with them. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to feel with a person. I think it's also a privilege in itself where somebody can allow you to feel with them, where they can allow you into such an intimate space within their lives. So I don't really look at it as a problem, but at the same time, yes, I think sometimes it can get draining when you talk to people, when you hear them, when you're always on the receiving end. In a day, 3 4 sessions, I don't think I can speak to more than 4 people in a day in therapy, because it does take a lot of energy from me as well. And that's when it's important to have my own routine in place. Maybe do things that make me feel replenished, make me feel good, so that the next day also I can show up for my clients. So I have my own self-care routine, so to speak. I make sure that I get in some movement in the day. I do some workout, I do some exercise, so that yeah, my mental health is taken care of. I do take therapy, connecting with my friends who are in the same profession or even from a different profession, so that I'm aware of I'm in I have that social support as well with me. I try and interact with my family as much as possible after a tiring day. Or sometimes it's just impossible to talk to somebody, so I read something nice or watch something nice, something lighter. So these are some things that I do to keep myself uh, recharged, uh, so that I can also show up as a person for myself. But at the same time, I don't think being affected by people is such a bad thing. I think it's okay, and sometimes it's nice to be able to feel something with another human being, which they hadn't felt allowed anybody else to feel. So yeah, I think it's sort of a mixed bag situation.
That's a very excellent answer from you, because I have told that whether any kind of traumas had influenced you and how do you actually recover yourself. You told a very simple answer that you always spend some time with your friends, family, relatives who make you very comfortable, who make you very feel happy, and also you also concentrate on your work profession. So you just balance both. So that's a very great, fantastic answer from you, ma'am. So thank you once again for coming and joining in this Women Today's interview. So people who are watching this video right now, please subscribe to our channel. Please, if you have any kind of doubts relatively to this department, like if you have any kind of psychological things which you needed to be clear, which you need to have a very clear mindset, which you need to have a very peaceful and happy life, you can very well consult and you can very well come and consult our Abhya Sharma ma'am. She is always open to help you. You can just comment in the comment section if you have any kind of doubts, and please click on the bell icon so that you can receive notifications whenever I post new videos regarding different women entrepreneurs and working women across the world. So once again, thank you, Abhya Sharma ma'am, for coming and join this wonderful interview. So this is your host Krishna, and today's our guest is Honorable Abhya Sharma ma'am, clinical psychologist from Delhi. So thank you, ma'am. Good evening. Have a nice day,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Krishna. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.